We made the decision to use STATSports for this tour based on I'm very familiar with the system and how it works, and I love the fact that the feedback and the precision of the data is excellent as well. So I'm looking back to, I think it was 2016 I started using STATSports at Munster, and then we used STATSports with South Africa, and then again with Ireland. So it's something that's a continuation for me. It's my preference, but also with having certain coaches and a head coach who's used to STATSports and the feedback that we get. Coaches aren't getting used to new terminology and different data. We need to get onto it immediately, and that's what STATSports gives us. Due to the demands of a tour like this, where playing, training and travelling is so frequent, it's imperative that we've got a system that doesn't take much admin time to get the reports generated, so we can spend as much of the time as possible doing what we need to do and best informs us on what we need to do rather than waiting. So that's why a system like this allows us to get the reports generated very, very quickly, and we can have those conversations then with the coaches and the medics to make sure that tomorrow's training and subsequent training days are planned without too much hassle. The specific features of the STATSports system that we use on a Lions tour like this now would be, we look at the volume and we look at the intensity metrics. A lot of things on a tour like this is when it's playing on a Saturday, preparing for a Wednesday, then a Saturdays, we need to make sure that we're achieving the game intensities regularly. So if a player doesn't play for a number of days, what's appropriate to him. So that's when we go back to the metrics such as the most intense passages, to make sure that a player's regularly getting a dose of real high demand, high intensity actions that they'd be expected to do in a test match or in any of the provincial games. The live data function is especially important to us for a number of reasons. It's a great feedback tool to coaches to say that the drills that we've designed are at an appropriate level for different training days. So are they intense enough? Are they too intense? So we can really modify around that, and the coaches are well versed in what we're looking for, what the targets or objectives are. And then from a medical and an SLC point of view as well, we'll have discussions about certain players or all players around what the desired outcomes are during a session and then post-session. So as an example, a player returning from injury, we'd have real clear objectives of different metrics that they need to achieve, and if they have achieved that, they might come out of the session early. If they haven't, then we might look to top up as required. So that's where the flexibility of having the live data is particularly important to us. So one of the challenges of coming into a British and Irish Lions tour like this is the players come from a multitude of different programs, from their clubs and international teams, and then trying to get all that information and put it all together so we've got a real clear understanding of what they're used to doing. There's a real benefit to having the heart rate data together with the GPS data, because we get a real internal value or cost of what training looks like. So as an example, if a player does a 2K session today and a 2K session next week, but having travelled over to Australia or having travelled from Perth to Brisbane, might think it's very similar, but the internal toll from the heart rate would say it's actually much more stressful. So that's where it's really invaluable to us to be able to modify and manage players throughout the tour. Some of the greatest advancements I've seen in performance technology over the last few years is how we can combine data, GPS data, with real footage and being able to merge those, because what it gives you is context. So our discussions then with players aren't based on numbers alone, but they're based on numbers and actions, and that's the real critical piece. I think on a tour like this, where you need to get to a point pretty quickly, having the vision to back up the numbers and vice versa makes it more credible, and I think you get probably an accelerated change in behaviour as well.